All right. Hey everyone. So my name's Desiree. I'm going to be going over telesales mortgage protection when the appointment answers. So at this point, you already booked them. Now you're calling them up. Okay. So at this point, if everyone has access to the script, I'm going to pull it up on my screen as well. As you guys can see at the beginning, it says, hey, this is the beginning of the appointment. Or if you're starting the one call close. So how I do it is credibility is very important. So this is how I read it. So I'll be like, hey, John and Mary, are you both there? First off, I verify if the client's there. They're obviously not driving and they're able to grab a pen and paper. That's key because if they can't go grab a pen and paper when you ask them to, how are they going to get their driver's license or how are they going to get their banking information? So you want to make sure that they're present and they're able to grab that pen and paper to pay attention to whatever you're doing. If there's loud noise in the background, or obviously if they're driving or if they seem distracted, I normally do not move forward in the appointment. Also, if you have an appointment with a husband and wife and one of them is not there, I still don't do that. I don't do the appointment. I don't do one-legged appointments because it's very important to have both people present, both decision makers present. Okay. So let's say everything's smooth and you say, hey, John and Mary, are you there? Or hey, John, are you there? If the guy is single. Okay. So I'm going to say, perfect. So again, so I'll call them up and I'll be like, hey, this is Desiree, the underwriter for the mortgage protection appointment. Is it still a good time, John? Or are you and Mary there if it's a couple? And then they'll say, yeah, it's a good time. Perfect. So go ahead and grab a pen and paper. I just have to have you start off by writing down my state license number. Let me know when you're ready. And obviously this is the credibility portion. So follow along with the script. And then they say, hey, I'm ready. Okay, perfect. Go ahead and write down my full name, Desiree Blas, and I spell it out for them. And my state license number, this is very important, is 20116507. Okay. John, this is very important because this is how you identify me within the state. You can go directly to the Department of Insurance website and look me up. Shows all my private information there. The state just requires me to leave that with you since they have me handling your private information. You got that down? They say, yeah. Then next, I have a business card on my phone that I made for free on Canva. Ask your manager if you don't know what Canva is. I have that handy in my photos. So then next, after they write down my information, I say, perfect. John, does this phone number receive text messages? They'll say, yeah, it does. Perfect. So I'm actually going to send you over a copy of my business card. And I take literally 2 seconds, grab the card, send it to the number. And then I'll say, perfect. You're going to get in your text message. Let me know when you see that and you can verify that you got it. They say, oh, I got it. And I say, awesome, John. So again, my face is there. So that's just so you know who you're talking to. My full name is there and my license number just for your records. They say, perfect. Now, guys, this is next, very important. It's the discovery. This is where you're going to find if these clients actually need to be insured and the value that they're going to find in the product. Okay. So normally, if I don't feel like the client finds this important, I don't really move forward. So again, if you're talking to someone single, you're going to find out who the beneficiary is. How you do that is you ask, perfect. So John, just so we're on the same page, God forbid if something did happen to you, who would be the main person dealing with the home? Okay, that's what I say. And obviously, if they're married, it's going to be each other. So if you read the different lines in the script here, I'm just going to go along as if the guy is single. So I'll say, perfect, John, God forbid if something happened to you tomorrow, who would be the main person dealing with the home? Then he's going to say, for example, oh, it would probably be my mom. And then you'll say, perfect, well, what's your mom's name? Oh, my mom's name is Brenda. Okay. And then next, if you follow along in the script, you want to find out everything about Brenda. You want to find out, is she living with him? Is she living in a different state? What is it going to look like? Because unlike final expense, guys, final expense is very cut and dry. They need cremation or burial. They want to leave some extra money behind. When you're dealing with somebody's mortgage, you got to paint the picture to find out who's the home going to belong to, or where's the responsibility going to land when this person dies, who's on the loan. So he says, it's my mom. I ask, okay, what's your mom's name? My mom's name is Brenda. Okay, and John, just so I know, does Brenda live with you or does she live out of state? Well, she lives in the same state, but she doesn't live with me. Okay, and then do you have any idea if, your mom is actually, if you suddenly pass away prematurely, is she going to move into this home or do you think she's going to sell it? Well, I haven't really talked to her about that, but I mean, she owns her own home. I think she's going to sell it, right? And then so naturally, I'm going to say, okay, so I could see why you're looking into this. You probably just did not, I'm assuming you were looking into this because you just don't want to put that burden on her if something did prematurely happen to you, right? And then he'll say yes. So in the discovery, I think it's very important to get like 2 or 3 affirmative yeses when you're asking these questions, right? So for example, if you look at the bottom here, it says, so if if a family member is going to sell, you could ask questions like, how long do you think that your mom's going to actually need to, how much time is your mom going to need to move all your belongings out and get it put onto the market, right? Those are questions. Perfect. So we're going to need some time, give her enough time to grieve and, have her not rush from the funeral home to the real estate office. I'm assuming that's why you're looking into this. He's going to say yes. So again, there's different versions you could get. Just get a couple or 2 or 3 affirmative yeses that they're following along in terms of finding the value in getting this type of insurance. Okay. That's all in the discovery. So for example, if you're talking to a married couple, you could ask a question like, what would it look like for your wife if something did happen to you, John? Do you think she's going to want to stay in the home, or do you think she's going to sell it and downsize like most people, right? That's a question you could ask and listen to them. See, as they're talking to each other, because normally if you're talking to someone, it might be a dual income household, or it might be where John makes most of the money and she's a stay-at-home mom. That matters because you want to know as the financial professional, what product are you going to show them, or how important is this to them, right? So for example, another question that you could ask is, if you see the second bullet point there, you could ask, hey, so when it comes to the mortgage payments, do you guys normally split them? Or do you think that, or does one person pay more than the other? Okay, that's another question. So if they say whatever they say, you could say, do you think that Mary's actually going to struggle making those mortgage payments without you on their own, without your income? The obvious answer is yes, but you want them to say yes is the whole point of this discovery. You're kind of finding whatever facts that they have within their life by asking right questions. So you don't have to use these bullet points in order. You're kind of using them as needed to kind of extract why it's important for them to look into mortgage protection. All right. So that's the discovery part. So like I said, make sure you get like 2 or 3 affirmative yeses as you ask those questions. And then if you look here, so once you do find their need for insurance, then I say, perfect. So, okay, John, I could see why this is important to you. Let me see how I can help. So next, we're going to go through the process. This is very important. I don't go through the process without getting through the discovery. So the way that I have this script designed is that it's all in order for a reason. You never explain the process without trying to find the value and why the person is even looking into insurance, if that makes sense. Okay, so now we're going to go to the process. After you get the discovery and you feel really solid about it, we're going to read the process. So I'm going to say, hey, so John, I'm going to explain really quick what I do during this process. Like I said, I'm what's called a medical field underwriter. So I focus a little bit more on the medical side of things. Basically, what that means is I do the underwriting for all the different insurance carriers within the state. And this coverage, John, is something that you can't just buy. You actually have to qualify for it. Okay. Now, everything is based off your age and your health. Okay. So this has nothing to do with your credit. What we're going to do today is go over a couple minutes of some health questions just to find out what you may possibly qualify for, and a couple minutes of some financial questions just to determine what's going to be suitable for your budget. All right. So the state does want me to make sure you're picking something well within your budget. Now, once we find something that fits both your needs and budget, there's still no guarantee because we actually have to get an approval from the insurance company first by sending an application. Okay. Once we do that, they're going to get back to us within a couple business days, 1 to 3 business days, whether you're approved, declined, or if they need more information. Does all of that sound fair? And I want an affirmative yes. And then I say, perfect. So sometimes after that process, you guys have to, it's a big paragraph, but you got to read it like slow with voice inflection. You're pausing. You want to make sure they're tracking what you're saying. So telesales, some people say it's a skill just because you're not sitting in front of the person, but it's very important to kind of listen and hear when they say, okay, yes, different things like that. You can't just read this like a runoff sentence. Slow down because this part is very important. You want them to know it's a process. I'm going to ask you health questions, financial questions. We're going to submit an application. So when you go through that and they say yes, they understand what the rest of the process is going to look like. Okay. That's very important. So practice. I always tell people when I'm training them, I'm going to give you the script and read it out loud, read it in the mirror, record yourself, pause, slow down, practice with your spouse, practice with your friend. It's just going to perfect that tone. And tone matters when you're doing telesales. It's very forgiving if you're doing in-home. You can mess up, you can stumble. But here over the phone, people can just hang up on you if you're not really taking control in the beginning. Okay, so reading these paragraphs, like I said, slowly and understanding what you're saying is going to matter when you start getting clients on the phone. All right, so that's the process, right? You want to make sure, like I said, you get an affirmative yes when you say, hey, does that sound fair? Hey, does that make sense, John? Different questions like that, okay? Now, next is when we're going to do the financial inventory. That's going to be a different video segment. If you have any questions, reach out to your manager, reach out to me. But again, rewind, watch this video, master it, and we're going to get you to selling some mortgage protection.